So your real estate business is getting traction. You're getting in front of potential buyers and sellers. You're doing a great job of closing them on using you to buy your home. In this series, I'm going to tell you about what to do next, how to close more deals. Stand by. All right, so in previous episodes in this 10-part series on how to increase your real estate agent business, I talked about how to get in front of more people, how to market, how to prospect, how to close people on using you to buy or sell a home. In this episode, I'm gonna focus on what to do when you've got a potential buyer or seller at the point where they're making offers or they're negotiating and you need that extra push to get the deal done. All right, so first and foremost, when you're representing buyers early on in the process, you need to do two things. One, you need to educate them on the market. We do this on our team through a process we call the reality check analysis. What is that? Great question. Well, what that is a way that we sit down with them. We ask them what type of home they want, what their price range is, and what location they want. All of those factors, we list them out. We do an MLS search for that criteria of what has sold in the past 12 months. So we're looking backwards. That will tell us a couple things. One, does what they want exist, right? Maybe they want a 10-bedroom home and right in the middle of downtown and they want it to be like $100,000. Well, that's probably not going to exist, right? So it tells you, does it exist? And two, it tells you how frequently it trades, how frequently that type of home sells. Those are two key factors. If it does not exist, they need to start adjusting criteria. And guess what? You're not the bad guy. The market is, the data is, right? This is much better than searching for homes that are kind of there but not there, and you're wasting their time, and it just never works out, right? So this will allow them to know up front, does it actually exist? And two, how often is it gonna come up, right? If what they want exists, but only one is sold in the last year, well, they better be pretty aggressive when that comes on the market, right? Like if it's the wrong paint color or, not in the best condition, but they can fix it up, they gotta kinda put that aside. Now, if there's been 100 of those sales in the last 12 months, well, now they can have some flexibility, right? They can potentially be picky. So you need to do this reality check analysis up front. The second thing you need to do up front with your buyers, right? And this will help you so much down the road, is get them familiar with the contract, because the contract's not just about price. When you're negotiating, there are a lot of terms in there. I talk about in other videos I've made the 4 C's: contingencies, closing time, cash, and competition, all right? The buyer needs to understand how all of those impact price. They control 3 of those. The 4th one, competition, you don't control. Contingencies, right? What kind of contingencies are in that contract? Which ones are necessary? And how would eliminating them or reducing them make the offer more competitive? Cash, how much cash can they put for down payment and for earnest money? And closing time, can they align the closing up perfectly to what the seller wants? Do they have flexibility to give a rent back, right? To close on the deal, rent it back to the seller for a couple weeks or 30 days. A lot of times that helps. So understanding those terms and how to use them up front works tremendously with buyers. Now for sellers, you also need to do similar type work with them up front. You want to do that reality check analysis for their own home, right? Show them what their own home has sold for. Give them a realistic idea of the market. You want to really set the expectations correctly. And two, you want to go over the contract. You want to let them know different ways that offers could come in and how that would affect them with more contingencies or less contingencies. So do that work up front with both your buyers and your sellers. That eliminates a lot of the problem. It's better for them to do that research before the offers come in, before the negotiating starts, because it is more logical and less emotional. So get that work done up front. Here's a couple of tips during negotiations that can help. Number 1, use deadlines. Use deadlines if you're a seller, use deadlines if you're a buyer. Number 2, use specific numbers. A lot of times people will offer something that is 500,000, for example, or 550 or 525. Use specific numbers, right? Offer 502,736. Why? Well, it's very specific. So the other side is going to just assume that there's a lot more thought into that number. Therefore, they're gonna be more likely to meet it or come closer to it. They're gonna think it's more logical. The third thing to consider during negotiations and when you're at the offer stage is it's not just between the buyer and seller typically, right? There are two agents involved. So sell the agent, the other side, why you would be good to work with. Sell the agent why your client would be good to work with. Sell them why your lender would be good to work with. All of that stuff matters. All of that stuff matters and can make a big impact. Now, when you get into the stage of negotiating and there's offers going back and forth and your clients are close, remember the timing and motivation, all right? Always tie back to that timing and motivation and how working out a deal can solve those issues. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss episode 8 in 10 ways grow your real estate agent business. I'll see you next time.